Hello everyone, I'm Randhir Kumar, Senior Trainer and Subject Matter Expert for wireless technology in Koenig Solution, New Delhi, India. Today, I'm going to make video for understanding implication of layer 2 and layer 3 roaming. So this is my topic today, where we will understand how roaming works and what is the difference behind it, how we can configure it. So layer 2 and layer 3 roaming. What does it mean by roaming first? Roaming is the way, a procedure where people move from one place to other place, or it roam from one place to other place for their own reason. And when it changes from one AP to other AP, so how the other AP has idea about the AP1, that this is the same client which are coming from. So this totally depends upon in background which controller is managing this access point. So first of all, this access point is lightweight access point, which is configured under WLC. So wireless LAN controller is a device which manages the lightweight access point. So the scenario is, if I have large number of lightweight access point, we use WLAN controller to manage this. If we have large number of wireless LAN controller for the enterprise, we use Cisco Prime infrastructure to manage this. So this is the way how we can use. Mobility and intra-controller roaming. So basically the roaming is of two types, layer 2 and layer 3 roaming. And inside layer 2 and layer 3 roaming, we have intra-controller and inter-controller roaming. So intra-controller roaming means all the access point connected to one WLC at a time. But when we have multiple access point connected with different controller and the client moving from one AP to other AP, managing to by different controller, that is called inter-controller roaming. So let's take an example of intra-controller roaming. So in intra-controller roaming, can you see in the diagram that AP and WLC makes a tunnel that is called CAP-WAP tunnel. So CAP-WAP is a protocol which used between AP and WLC. And we use different protocol between WLC and Cisco Prime infrastructure to forward the traffic, which is called SNMP. So roaming idea came into mind when we have different moving clients or roaming clients in our Wi-Fi campus. So in intra-controller roaming is one cell change for the client entry in the controller database. It takes 10 milliseconds from the client perspectives, if you understand. In inter-controller roaming, controller is a different controller managing by different access point and client is moving between them. This is inter-controller roaming, but to understand it, client entries move to new controller anchor and foreign tags are created. So when client 1 is moving to other controller range in another AP range, this client entry is moved from one WLC to other WLC. So the database in background, the database should be synchronized for WLC1 and WLC1. And it does not happen automatically. You need to configure mobility group concept to achieve this. So mobility group is a group where we put different controller information and different mobility information which synchronize the controller internally. So the client moves from one place to other place. It gives information about that. Yes, I know this client because database has been synchronized automatically before. In the same parallel to mobility group, we have another interface group and same subnet mobility concept also. So interface group is nothing, it's just a group of different VLANs or different logical subnets which is required in case of guest, in case of contractor, in case of different sales department, you need to merge with them for giving IP address, or for the security reason we can configure this interface group. So interfaces comes from dynamic interfaces having different VLAN associated, different DSCP, different gateway. An interface group, like creating one group, and inside that group we can add multiple different interfaces like VLAN 10, 20, 30, 40. Now what happens if any clients connects with any SSID and which having interface as an interface group, not a single subnet. So client will receive an IP address from this DSCP server, which is mapped internally with this interface group, and in round robin fashion. So first time client gets an IP address from VLAN 5, VLAN 10, VLAN 15, and consecutively. So in this way, you have interface group configurations required. So when you connect your configure mobility group, you need to configure MAC addresses and IP addresses to each other. Once your Ethernet over IP tunnel has been created between two WLCs, when we configure mobility group, then your mobility group status should be up. So your control and data path, these are two sections, then we will see in the next coming configuration slides, that our data path and control path. So control path like Ethernet over IP tunnel, and the data path should be up. So in both of the path and link should be up, then it has to understand that your mobility is configured fully, and now if the client roam, it will not have any difficulty to associate with the newer access point managing with another control. Can you see in the diagram here, we have mobility groups named here as a controller A, controller B, controller C, and every controller has a different MAC address. So what I will do, I will create a mobility group name. I will create a mobility group name as a my mobility group. So important information is you need to configure same mobility group across all the controller which is the member of this mobility group. So we have to create mobility group on each controller, and then we need to give the information of MAC address and IP address to each other, so that everyone should know about everyone, and into n minus 1 by 2, like mesh topology. Everyone should have link to everyone. Then only database will be synchronized and client will have seamless roaming across the Wi-Fi network. Mobility group and mobility list. So can you see here, we can create multiple mobility group, and one mobility group can be part of different mobility group list. So we have blue mobility group, red mobility group, and in blue red mobility domain. So mobility domain and mobility list is almost same. We can put different mobility group and different mobility domain also on the control. So idea behind to have multiple group and multiple control. Configuring mobility group. So in controller section, you need to drop down. So I'm highlighting here where you need to go. First, you need to log into the GUI page of the controller. Then click the controller tab. And in the left hand side, you need to go into mobility management section. And there is a mobility group option. In this mobility group, you need to click new. And in new, you need to mention all other MAC addresses except yours. This is not your information. This is, I'm giving information of different WLC which I want to be part of it. And then I need to give their management IP addresses and the group name. Very important. If you are creating mobility like configuration, group name should be same, and mobility multicast IP address if it is required. So after doing configuration, this mobility group will be work very good.